So you're walking into the bowling alley for your weekly league, and you're wondering to yourself, is this finally the week that I'm gonna bowl a 600 series? Well, we're here to show you exactly how to do that today.
Tip number one is getting your own bowling ball. If you're bowling with just alley balls, you're at a significant disadvantage to those who are using more professional grade equipment.
Even a lower end high performance ball like the Burner Pearl I have here from 900 Global has both a core and a cover designed to transfer more energy into the pins, thus allowing you to strike more consistently.
Having your own ball also brings on the added benefit of consistency. If you have your own bowling ball, everything about it is going to be consistent. It's the same bowling ball, it's the same cover, the same core, even the same finger grips that you use to throw. Everything's going to be consistent, and it's going to make it a much easier time to make adjustments later on.
Tip number two is finding the style that you're most comfortable with. Whether that's one-handed, two-handed with the thumb in it, or one-handed without your thumb in it, find the style that you're most confident and comfortable with, and that'll give you the best opportunity to shoot higher scores in the future.
The third tip is using practice to your advantage. Depending on your league, you'll have about 10 to 15 minutes of practice. This 10 to 15 minutes of practice should be something that you are taking the most advantage of in order to give yourself the best possible chance to shoot 600. During practice, you should be throwing multiple different lines at multiple different angles just to make sure that you can figure out exactly what works for that specific night.
It's also really important to not only practice your strike ball, but to practice your spare shots as well. I would personally recommend shooting at least one 10-pin and one 7-pin during practice, just to make sure you have that aspect of your game as warmed up as your strike shot is.
When looking at which zones to look at in practice, we recommend using these 4 zones in order to give you the best and widest range available of how the lanes are playing. First is to go up zone 1. This is going to be board 5, and it's just going to be a straight up the gutter type shot. This is a type of zone that will obviously overhook as crazy if you are on a house shot, but it's important to know in case you are bowling on those sports shot patterns in different tournaments that you play. The second zone we recommend going up is zone 2, which is up board 10. This is going to be a more useful zone, especially if you are a lower rev player. So give this one a try and see what happens. Next is zones 3 and 4. Zone 3 is going to be up board 15, and zone 4 is going to be up board 20. These zones are more likely going to be used by high rev players, very high speed, and have a lot of power behind their shot. It is important to use these zones, even if you're a low rev player, because at any given night, it could just work.
As you can see here from my first 2 shots, up zone 1 and up zone 2, zone 1 hooked way too much for me as there's a lot of friction on this house shot. And then zone 2 really didn't quite get there. So off of this, I would probably move almost exactly in between those 2 zones and then just make my moves based off that.
As you can see from my shot, zone 3 did look good, although it did go a little bit high, so it left a 9-pin. Now for zone 4, it had a much better shape to it and actually hit the 1-3 pocket. Now it did leave a ringing 10-pin, but I can make adjustments on that as the games go on.
Tip number 4, and this is an important one, especially if you hook the ball a lot, adjust your strategy as the lanes break down. For those of you who don't know, our bowling balls actually take oil off of the lane, which means if you're somebody who curves the ball a good amount, the more and more you throw the ball, the less and less oil there's going to be for that part of the lane, and you might start to see your ball overhook. So naturally, our moves off of that is going to be to continue to move left into where there is more oil in the middle of the lane.
The 5th and final step is to just not worry about one particular shot. If you throw a shot and it doesn't strike, or if you try to throw a spare and you don't make it, or even worse, if you throw your first shot and it ends up getting a split, the most important thing is to just make sure that you move on. There are 36 potential shots in any given 3-game series, so one shot is not going to define how the rest of the series goes. It is important to make sure that you just move on and you start fresh every single frame. This will give you the best possible chance to clear your head, make sure that you are having in the best mindset to throw as many strikes as possible in order to get your first 600 series.
As a bonus tip, if you truly want to improve and take bowling seriously, it's important to have a spare system in place as well. I would recommend just taking a day going and bowling by yourself, practicing 10 pins, 7 pins, 6 pins, 4 pins, you name it, and have a system for every single pin that you might leave and have to shoot. I know for myself, when I leave a 10 pin, I stand on the exact same spot and throw it at the exact same arrow every single time I leave a 10 pin. So if you truly want to take bowling seriously and improve, practice your spares.
Using these 5 steps and putting them all together is going to give you the best chance of bowling your first 600 at League.
So that about wraps it up for today's video. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you guys have any other tips or tricks that you want to learn for bowling, please leave that in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you so much for 6,500 subscribers. We're steadily inching closer towards that 10,000 mark. Don't forget to check out the Patreon down below as well.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Peace out.